I can't overstate how monumental this week has been for Palestine. Unironically, the fact that 10 countries, including the UK, France, Australia, Canada, recognize Palestinian statehood is the least important news of the week, which is crazy. But let's start there, because yes, these recognitions, they further isolate Netanyahu, with these countries joining the vast majority of the world in recognizing Palestine, bringing Israel that much closer to being a complete pariah state. But they're also too little, too late. They come with no concrete actions, just symbolic recognitions that changes nothing on the ground, while IDF demolition vehicles are rolling into Gaza as we speak, and some of these countries are still selling weapons to Israel. However, something so much more monumental happened, which is that multiple European countries sent Navy ships to escort and protect the global Sumud flotilla that is trying to bring aid to Gaza. But we'll get back to that in a second. Because right now, I'm at a massive pro-Palestine demonstration in Berlin that for the first time has support from an established German party, the left-wing Die Linke party. Just a few months ago, there was absolutely no space in mainstream German politics for any pro-Palestine sentiment. Support for Palestine here is considered definitionally anti-Semitic, to the point where their citizenship test requires a pledge of support for Israel. But it's now uncontroversial the world over to say Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. There's no expert or body of experts with any authority or credibility that denies what this is. And that fact is so damning that Germany's unconditional support for Israel is starting to crack. Unfortunately, and perhaps understandably, many of the activists who've been beaten and arrested and criminalized and deported for the last 2 years aren't too happy at the idea of marching next to a party that's been dismissing their movement and was supportive of Israel's genocide until now. But here's the reality. The global political shift that we're seeing, the Navy escorts, the statehood recognitions, these are a victory of the pro-Palestine demonstrators. None of this would be happening without the millions of people and the student demonstrations and the strikes and everything else in favor of Palestine in the last 2 years and before. If you took part in those marches, this is your victory and you deserve the credit, even if the bigger actors who are joining the right side of history, now that it's no longer difficult to do so, will later try to erase you from the history and claim the credit for themselves as the ones who made the difference when it mattered. Of course, it's not over, but the tide isn't just turning, it has turned. The only question now is how much momentum can this tide sustain? Is it going to be a small wave that barely reaches the shores of Gaza for a single aid delivery? Or will it lead to concrete geopolitical change, a redrawing of the map, and real justice for those who've been deprived of human rights for so long? And the answer to that question, as always, is going to be up to the activists. Governments will be content with doing the bare minimum and going home. So it's up to the activists to keep pushing. Take this moment, use this momentum, because how far this goes will be determined in the coming weeks and months.